All right, you could just start by introducing yourself.
Okay, I am Joanne Williams. I'm currently president of the Highland Park Chorus. We've changed our name. We started out as the Highland Park Community Chorus, and I've been president for a number of years, and I have been a member of the chorus, a singer, since we started in 1986. The chorus was founded by Jenny Feigenbaum, is the person who spearheaded the founding. She was a resident of Highland Park. She was a former opera singer. And after she retired, she gave vocal lessons in her home, mostly to high school students. And she came up with the idea of the chorus and got some people involved. I don't know how many. I know who. One was Carol O'Neill, who passed away last. Here comes Regina. One was Carol O'Neill, who passed away, I think the previous summer, not this summer, the summer before. The way I found out about the chorus was we had two girls, and one of them was very active in the singing in the high school, and we went to a concert, and in their little program there was a slip of paper. We're trying to set up a community chorus. Are you interested? And my brain went, yes. I have sung all my life. This is probably not relevant to the chorus, but when I was a kid, my parents were not religious, but my best friend and her family went to church, and she encouraged me to go to church and with her and go to Sunday school, and we were in the children's choir. And I'm a little kid, I'm 8 maybe, and the choir director realized that I could read music because the girls were sopranos and boys were alto. He realized that I could read music, so he made me an alto. And then, of course, after I was confirmed, he came up to me, you could join the senior choir now. Their senior choir rehearsed on Friday nights. I was a teenager. Football games, basketball games, I've got to go to choir rehearsal. I don't think that. So I never did that. But in my high school, they had a very, very robust choral program. And if you could open your mouth and have sound come out, you were in the boys' chorus or the girls' chorus if you wanted to sing. Then out of that, auditioned was the mixed chorus. And I was in that. There were about 100 of us. It was a big chorus. And we sang some pretty complex things for our high school. Our anthem was the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and we always ended all of our concerts with and the audience would sing along. Then out of the mixed chorus, there was further auditioned a group of 12 to 15 guys and a group of 12 to 15 girls. And the school was called Muhlenberg. So we were the Muleers and the Muleteers. Mm-hmm. And we used to perform at places, And so I sang in that. And when I went to college, I did not care for the music director. And all he liked to sing were madrigals, which are like my most unfavorite choral music. So I didn't sing at all. And there was no place to sing. I mean, if you belonged to a church, but I wasn't religious, so I didn't belong to a church. So when I saw this thing in this program, we're starting a community chorus, particularly since once I joined, I realized they weren't singing really very simple music. In fact, our very, very, very first concert, we did Mozart's Te Deum, Handel's Coronation Anthem, and Vivaldi's Magnificat, along with little pieces.
Wow.
But, so that was just great. I was so happy to have found the chorus because I just always loved to sing.
Yeah. Is there like a favorite type of song you have, or like that you sung?
I really like the classicals.
Mm-hmm.
We just did Rudder's Requiem in our last concert, which I really liked. I really like Mozart's Requiem. I loved Carmina Burana. Just, yeah, I really like the big classical pieces. And what I found interesting when I printed this out last night, just for your information, is all the concerts we've ever had and their directors and the pieces. And it's up to date till last December. I haven't put the spring in yet.
Wow.
But in our very first concerts, we did the classical major pieces first. And our second half after the intermission were the little things. And then that got switched at some point in time. And now we do the little pieces first, ending with the big, which makes more sense to me, really.
Right.
Our first director was Dennis Boyle because he was the choral director at the high school at the time. And he was, because it was called a community chorus, we've never had anything like that. There were people who came and they just wanted to talk, and that drove him nuts. And he got a little on the nasty side, and he left after a year. But if he wouldn't have left, he would have been ousted because people were very unhappy with his, he was a little bit too stringent, I guess is the right word. So somebody found Fred Ford, who was our second director and was with us for a while, from 1988 to he ended in the spring. Oh, that's interesting. The spring of 94, but we only had one concert a year. We had a spring concert. So at that time, and the last concert that Fred Ford did was by Rudder. His Magnificat, though. Somewhere in here, I think Fred was our director for maybe 2 years at that point. We rehearsed in the high school and performed in the high school. And it began to become painful. I'll put it that. The custodians who had to unlock the door for us to come in would not unlock the door, particularly if the weather was crappy. If it was snowing or raining, they'd have us just stand out there and wait. And we'd have to go around the windows and try to find out where somebody was and bang on the window for them to come. And we rehearsed this is before the high school was totally redone, in what was called the band room, which was a big room and had lots of windows that surrounded it, and these big, tall lights that came down from the ceiling. And first thing about that was the custodian. Our rehearsal time used to be 8 to 10.
Hmm.
And he would come in at 5 minutes to 10 and literally put his hand on the wall by the light switch. You know, didn't say anything, just that intimidating presence. And then a number of the lights went out. Light bulbs burn out. Well, they never replaced them, probably because they didn't need them in the daytime because it was surrounded by windows. Uh, and at the time, one of our basses his name was Dick Blake, and he was pastor at the Reformed Church. And he said, "This is crazy, let's go to the church." And that's how we ended up at the church. So that's the story about how we ended up going there. And the church has just been very, very, very good to him. His Seth came after Dick Blake, and Pastor Seth has just been they're very accommodating there. But it's the mutual respect that we have. They know that we respect the church and they respect us. And what is the next? That was a big move because I know that Fred Ford was still director when we moved to the church. Um, our next director after Fred Ford was Linda Rosowski, who was our accompanist with Fred. And she was our director from 95 to 98. And I'm just looking at, we really did some Mozart's Today Handel's Coronation Anthem No. 4, Haydn's Lord Nelson Mass. I mean, that's not Jeannie with the light brown hair. um, in 98, our director became Sunmin Lee, and she started in the fall. And we had a situation where there were a number of choruses together and they wanted to do Handel's Messiah. And prior to that, we only did a spring concert.
Mm.
But we were going to do Handel's Messiah in December. and and after we did that, she said, "I think we could always do 2 concerts a year. We're capable of doing 2, we're not only 1." And so that was December of 98 was the first time we started doing 2 concerts a year, one in December and one in the spring. Varies from April to May, depending on dates. Sun Mi was our director. She also was the choir director at the church, which I think is kind of how she came to be our director because we were there. So she was there, started December, 98, 99, 99, 2000, 2001, and her last concert was May of 2001. And then she left. I think she went on for further studies. I'm not really, it wasn't that she got tired of doing this. It was she moved and I think went back to school. Our next season was 2001 to 2002, which was Mark Troutman. And he basically, he was only there a year, and I think we were just a holding spot for him. He was looking for something else, and he had a year with nothing to do, and so that was followed by his accompanist at the time was Mark Hitchcock, who went on after us to lead the New Brunswick Chamber of Orchestra. So Mark Hitchcock was our director from our 0203 season. It was only one season too. And then we went on to Sungtae Park. He was, I believe, he was at Rutgers, and I think he taught piano and did some choral work, and he wanted to sort of beef up, move out into doing more choral work. So he was with us from the 0304 season to, I guess it was only 2 seasons, 0405. Then 0506, again, our director was the person who was the accompanist under some, Kelly Burfield. She was there for 1 year, 0506. Then we went to Brian Katona. Brian Katona was with us for a number of years. He was also the choir director at the church, and he was at Rutgers. So he would, for our concerts, he would pull in grad students as ringers. And if you know what a ringer is,
No.
okay. Ringers are people that kind of come in, they have more experience and strong voices. They come in to beef up a section that needs help, so to
Hmm.
speak. And I have a thing about ringers. They would bring in these Rutgers kids who always had this attitude: we are here because you can't manage without us. And one of those ringers, a tenor ringer, was a young man by the name of Ben Berman. And he wasn't like that. And I remembered that about him, that he was one of the ringers, that he was a decent human being. And one of the stories under one of our directors, this was after Brian, was another student at Rutgers who was going for his PhD. And that was the one concert that we did at Kirkpatrick because it was for his thesis. And there was a young man standing behind me when we were rehearsing who was a ringer. And he kept banging me on the head with his music. And I turned around and I said, "Could you please not bang me on the head with your music?" And he turned to his friend and says, "She obviously doesn't know anything about singing in choruses." And I said, "I've been singing in choruses since before you were born, so stop banging me on the head with your music." I mean, attitude. So Brian Katona was with us from 0607 to 0809. And he did a lot of really big classical music, like Haydn's Creation. We did the Messiah, the whole Messiah under him. We did Mendelssohn's Elijah.
Was that the one with the children's chorus?
Hmm?
Was that the one with the children's chorus? I think there was one that had kids.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't remember.
okay.
I really don't remember. But he was one, and I'm looking for it. Oh, December of '07, he did the gospel mass. And since he was also director of the church choir, they sang with us for that piece. More on that piece later. So after Brian Katona was John Guarente. And he was the one who was going for his PhD and did the thesis. And he was with us from season of 09 to 10. And his last was May of 2011. And in this time period, we had a young woman who sang, I would put sang in quotes, alto. And her timing was impeccable. You have half notes, quarter notes, rests, etc. Her timing was impeccable. But as one person said, she couldn't carry a pitch in a bucket. She never hit the right note. So if you were next to her, it just drove you nuts. I mean, it was just horrible. And I would always try to manage to not be anywhere close to her, because having somebody sing the wrong note in your ear is like, it's horrible. So we decided, took us a while, that we were going to have auditions and not just accept anyone. We were fortunate in the fact that she moved out of the area. So, because we said, what are we going to do? I mean, we can't really ask her to leave. We, didn't know what to do. And she moved away. But we thought this could happen again. So, under director Daniel Spratlin, who was another Rutgers student who came right after John Parente, we started auditions. And we just made them very simple. People didn't have to prepare anything. But the main thing was, can they match pitch? You play a note on the piano, can they sing it? Mm-hmm. Or do you play, da, and they sing, that sort of thing. So basically our auditions, they do scales to see what their voice range is, are they soprano, alto, tenor, bass, but the main thing is matching pitch. And in the years since we've had auditions, we have them twice a year, before our fall season and before our spring season. We've turned down a few people, which it strengthens the course. And I can remember, and I will not say the person who it is because this person is somewhat prominent in town, came and auditioned, and he was, and but I didn't know, because I was out in the hallway, it's only the director and the person singing, and I came in, oh, how did you do? And the director was going behind me, him going, And he said, I don't think I made it.
I felt so bad about him because he came to our table at a street fair and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, I can't sing," but every adult says that. So I was like, "How do you know? Why don't you show up and try?" And then I felt so bad. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's true because a
Yeah.
lot of people say they can't, and then they come. I mean, they can hold pitch, and they come and they try and they find, oh, this is really cool. I've never done this before. But there are also people who, again, pass audition and they come and they go, you're too advanced for me. This is too difficult for me. I can't do this. And I think the one thing I'm glad of, and I think it has made us what we are, is we don't dumb it down to please those people.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, so Daniel Spratlin is when we started auditions. And he was only with us for 1 year. And then here comes this pleasant ringer who wasn't nasty, Ben Berman, and he was with us for 12 years. And when he became our director, up until that time, it was always kind of a word of mouth, like I'm leaving, but I know this person and he wants to do it or whatever. But when after Daniel Spratt left, we didn't have anybody and we actually had auditions for directors. So we had people come in the summer, chorus members, gave them a form to fill out because they were going to rate. I mean, we had like 4 or 5 guys who auditioned. Ben was one of them. There was another guy who I don't remember his name who auditioned to be our director. And he's yelling at us. And it's like, if he's doing this in an audition to get the job. And I remember on the forms that we had to fill out, how did you feel about this person becoming our director? Somebody took, we had a page this big, no, next to his name. But I mean, who would do that? I mean, really, who would yell at people when you're trying to get a job? And we chose this young man whose name I do not recall. And it turned out he got another job that he felt he was more suited for, and he took it. And then we were, oh, well, how about Ben? And I remember at the time we had a woman who was president who wanted us to hire this gentleman who had a lot of experience conducting courses, but he wanted like $10,000. And so we can't afford that. We can't even begin to afford that. Well, she didn't want Ben because he had no experience. Yeah, but we can't afford this guy. And she kept pushing for us to hire this other guy. But so anyway, we actually had interview at her apartment, which was on the top floor of one of those high rises in New Brunswick. And she sort of avoided the whole thing, but she was outvoted. So we got, and I remember Eileen O'Donnell, who was president for a while, was at this interview, and after Ben left and we were discussing, said a perfect thing. She said, you can always, this other woman who was, Ben was too inexperienced. That was ridiculous. We needed to hire this other guy. And Eileen said, you can always teach skills, but you can't change a personality. Because we were talking about this other guy who got the big no. So, and so Ben was with us from 12, the 12 to 13 to, this is 23, 24. And through that, there was the pandemic. And we had decided to do virtual rehearsals, and we did a virtual concert over Zoom, which was pretty sad, but the whole point was we needed to keep ourselves together. But you can't say that's one of the primo ways of spreading a virus is singing. In fact, I believe there was like an 80-member chorus in Oregon or something in the beginning days of COVID where they all got sick and about 5 of them died because they sang through it. We're gonna push through this, and they all got sick and 5 died. So we chose Zoom.
Yeah.
So that was May of 2020 through December of 2021 was a pandemic, so we did no concerts other than our Zoom. And we resumed in May of 22. And I can remember suggesting to Ben at the time, we need to do something upbeat. We're coming back. And I suggested we do the gospel mass, and he agreed. And, because it's classical and it's such an upbeat piece. So, among other music, and then Ben left in his last concert was May of 2024. And then we hired Shay Veloso, who is our current director, who is still with us.
What about, when did we get Paul?
I think Ben brought Paul in.
Oh,
I think.
For some reason, I remember there being a surprise.
Like what?
Like a surprise, oh, that was my teacher.
Oh.
I
Well, he was from Rutgers, so
Right.
he may have been an accompanist. I don't have who the accompanists were here. He may have been an accompanist during Brian Katona's stretch.
Okay.
That's possible.
Paul Conrad was the accompanist since I started, and I started at the same time as John Guarenti. And Paul and Ben worked together so seamlessly. We called them the Music Bros.
Yes.
Yeah.
They did. And Paul was very accomplished that if Ben was out, he filled in, and he also directed us. And, in fact, this is probably should be off the record, but you remember the tenor who thought of himself as God's, I won't say his name, God's gift to tenors. And he would always set everything up before rehearsal. And it wasn't Ben. I think it must have been Shay, when Shay was our director, and he came and he put this music stand, and I said, don't put it up with somebody else's here. What do you mean somebody else was there? And it was Paul who was filling in for Shay. He came in and directed. And he came up to me at the break and said, "Why didn't you tell me?" I said, "I wanted to surprise you." And that is one of the things he uses, being treated so horribly. He also, I don't know what you know about the Reformed Church and all they work a lot with immigrants, etc. And he would wear a Trump t-shirt and a MAGA hat to rehearsal. So he had volunteered to do some cleanup and setting up for our reception in the social hall. And I went up to him and I said, "Please do not wear that when you're here in the afternoon, you know, setting up the social hall for our post-concert reception," which he was pretty good at complying, but he thought that was overreach on my part. And I said, "I don't want you to be. You're the one who's going to be on the bad end of this, you know." And at one point in time, another chorus related, but not really chorus story, is somebody came into the church and painted horrible anti-graffiti in the parlor and in the men's room. And Reverend Amos came up to me and they all thought it was him because he always wore this Trump shirt. You know, it must have been him who was doing it. And I said, "I really don't think so." And he's very respectful of the church property. He's a jerk, but I just don't think he would ever do this. So I stood up for him, even though he said we treated him so terrible, he went to another court. So that's pretty much the history of our various directors, etc.
Hmm.
So now, your questions.
Yep. I wanted to firstly ask, was there a director you think was like the most impactful for like the course overall?
Fred Ford was very good, and he was very well liked. But he wanted to, I think he wanted to move on, and maybe he was getting his doctorate, I'm not sure. This is sad. I was at a concert, the State Theater, where I don't remember what it was, but it was classical music that had a choral portion. And I'm sitting there with my husband and I'm looking over, man, that looks like Fred Ford sitting over there. And I went over and I hadn't seen him in like no more than 10 years. And I went over and I said, "Hi, Fred, remember me?" And he just looked at me blankly. And then I mentioned the name of the chorus, which he led for like 8 years. And he looked at me blankly. And then I found out later he had Alzheimer's, which I did not know. And he passed away about 3-4 years ago. He was, I think Brian Katona was very impactful, and Ben Berman, because he was with us for so many years, and those are probably the big three out of 40 years. That's
Yeah. How was the experience with having the first concert?
I don't remember other than I remember feeling good to be singing again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was at the high school, and our first couple concerts were at the high school until we left. It just it for me it just felt, oh, it's so good to be back singing again. You know.
Mm-hmm. With the pandemic, did you feel like that might have been like the end of the chorus? Like, were you afraid or like doubtful?
Uh, I think we were concerned, which is why we wanted to set up this Zoom thing
Mm-hmm.
to keep people involved. You know, we had these Zoom rehearsals and things, and because we were concerned that people would, you know, drift off. And I think when we started up again after that, okay, so we came back May of 2022. Which, or the spring season, which means that we would have started our rehearsals around January of 2022. And I don't remember if I think there probably was one of our smaller choruses because people just weren't sure and a little hesitant. And then we built back after that.
You said at one point the chorus got down to, what was it, 6 or 9 people?
Yeah, that was under Sungmin Lee. We went down to really, really low numbers.
Do you know why?
No, I think it just was
Okay.
kind of, I mean, she was good. She was really nice. She was good. I remember as you get older, your voice drops. I've never been a first soprano. Even in high school, when I was in that, it was SSA, which is first soprano, second soprano, alto. I sang second soprano. When SATB, I was always alto. And she would have me sometimes sing second. I sang alto in the chorus, but she would have me sing with the second sopranos. Now, I think I'm going towards tenor, but I will not go there because I don't like to read the bass clef. That's just, some men, that was before. It was somewhere in there in Sun Min's thing that we had. And I could have been, a good deal of it could have been that woman who I know that people left because of the woman who couldn't carry a pitch in a bucket. Um, I think we were down to like 10, and we slowly crept back up. And then we were down into somewhat, maybe not that low, with Mark Troutman and Mark Hitchcock. We didn't have a lot. Maybe we were like 20 or so, 20 something. And now we're like 40 to 50.
Mm-hmm.
So
In your experience, what drew people into joining the community chorus?
why?
Yeah, like what do you think drew them in?
They want to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really pretty much it. They want to sing. When we tell new people that there are auditions, a lot of them won't. Now, you don't have to prepare anything. He's just going to have you do scales and match pitch. Some people are really put off because they're afraid that, oh, we're way too above them. Um, I think it's because they want to sing. And I mean, we have people from all walks of life, young mothers. One just had a baby last year, to retirees. The span we have over the years hasn't happened in a very long time, but we had people who, I want to bring my child. No. Why? That's discriminatory. This is a community chorus. Well, children's voices are different, which is very true. And we found that with high school kids, in one of the years, we had a couple high school kids, they have too much going on and they come to 3 rehearsals and, and they expect to sing in the no. It was Ben Berman who really pushed for an attendance policy. And so now we take attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And if people miss too many, what's going on? Are you coming back? Kind of thing. And we did there's one woman, the one I can remember most recently, an alto, who said we were way too advanced for her. She thought we sang music that was a lot simpler. However, she did buy an ad for our program, so
We have had several parent and adult child in the chorus over the years, right? Like this Kevin and
for
Anya.
very short stints.
Yeah, and Marcia and Lucas.
Oh yes, but they
Yeah.
were both adults.
Well,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying, parent
Yeah,
and adult child. They have had
okay,
multiple generations in the chorus.
Yes,
at the same
Marcia
time.
and Lucas. Yes.
Yeah. And Kevin and Anya. Were there any others? I mean, Hartmut brought his daughter for a while, right?
Pardon?
Didn't Hartmut bring his daughter for a while?
His daughter-in-law,
okay.
who came to one. She's the one who.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he knew she liked to sing. He knew that she suffered from the severe depression, and he thought that it would be a way to lift her up. Yeah. Lucas, by the way, came to our concert, gave me a big hug. And he said, I'm so sorry to hear about Hartmut. He said, I can remember there were times when he and me, we were the only bases there. And, because he said he liked it so much. And I said, we have such a strong bass section now. He says, yeah, I wish I was there, when.
Me too, he's got gorgeous.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We had 2 former members of our chorus who passed away this year.
Mm-hmm.
One passed away the end of January, and the other one in early mid-February. And the first one sang with us, or Dan sang with us for a couple of years, but he dropped out, I think, because his wife was ill. And then he became ill, but he always gave a donation. And when he was able, always came to the concert. So he was a strong supporter. Hartmut, his name was Hartmut Rausch. He was German, from Germany. He told me right after he told me that they were moving to Switzerland, his wife inherited some property in Switzerland. And so they moved there. And he told me, I sang with The first concert I sang with you, you did Mozart's Requiem, and the last concert I sang with you did Mozart's Requiem. And I counted the years. I don't remember, it's like 13 or 18 years he sang with us. And when he became ill this year, his wife was in contact with another former bass who's a neighbor of mine. He asked to meet with me. He said, is there something we can do? Can we get a couple singers from the chorus and tape it and send it to him? And I talked to our director, and we decided to do a movement of a piece that we were already preparing for our concert, and do a movement that was relatively easy, not super complicated. And we videoed it and made a video, sang the movement, made a video, and sent it to him. Unfortunately, he died like 3 days before we did it. He once he started to go downhill, apparently he went downhill fast. But I heard from his wife, and they made that tape of us singing. She said the chorus was so important to her. Made a tape of us singing that movement as part of their memorial service, which they had online.
Mhm.
So, and unfortunately, I don't know, I think I had an appointment or something. I couldn't. I know that Ben said he tuned into it, and Jim tuned into it, and we had two former members join us for that. The guy who sort of arranged the whole thing, who was a bass, and Geza, who sang with us, who was a fellow German, and he sang with us. So,
The Lord is my shepherd for Brothers Refuge.
yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I found it. I was looking through my photos the other day, and I found the video of it on my phone, which I didn't realize I had it because I think Jim texted it to me. And here we are.
Yeah.
We just finished our 40th season,
Yeah.
and we're still going. We're now the Highland Park Chorus.
Mhm.
It's our new name.
Do you have an end in sight, or do you imagine this like the course going on for a long time?
I hope it goes on for a long time. I really do. Yeah,
Yeah.
really do. I mean, we have had people who have sung with us for decades. I'm the only one that has sung with us from the beginning, but there are a number of people who've sung with us for many, many years. And there are people who drop out and come back, things change in their life, and, and we're like, I haven't really counted, but I would guess we're about 40, 45. And people, for instance, at our last concert, we had somebody who was sick and they couldn't make our last rehearsal. And she said, I really want to sing in the concert, but I think I'm going to skip the dress rehearsal so I can sing in the concert. I mean, it becomes really very important. And I think somewhere along the line, I don't really remember how long we've been doing it. We rehearse on Monday nights.
Mhm.
And our concerts, like it said, we always just had one concert in the spring, and then we started having two in the summer. And the Monday after our concerts, we wouldn't have a rehearsal, but people should be pretty much available because they've cleared Mondays from their schedule. We have a chorus party at somebody's house. And it's sort of a way for people to get to know each other because we don't do a lot of fraternizing during work business. We come, we sing, there's break, you talk to the person next to you, maybe. It's not a lot of socializing. We sort of get to business. And so we always have this party. Somebody offers their home, and we have people bring food and drink, and we have a party at somebody's house. You can't bring a guest because of space limitations. Plus, we don't want you standing there talking to your husband or boyfriend all night when the idea is socialize with your other singers. So, any other questions?
Is there a favorite aspect of the chorus you enjoy, or is it just like the overall?
Any particular aspect?
Yeah.
Well, if we stop singing classical music, I think that would do it for me. Uh, I don't know. I just love singing. I miss singing all those years between high school, and learning about this. I didn't miss a year for the 40 years I've been singing. I just love to sing. It's just, I don't know.
Do you think that the diversity of the community in the chorus has like shaped the experiences and like the songs we put on?
Shaped how the songs we sang.
Yeah, or like the overall experience of the choir?
I don't think the makeup of the chorus. Well, the makeup of the chorus has to have some impact on the music that the director chooses. I mean, if he feels that this is a really, really, really complicated piece, and I don't think people are up to that, but I can honestly say I don't ever remember that happening.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing that happened was actually our last concert, where our director wanted to do a different requiem. He wanted to do Dorfley's requiem, but that requiem apparently is heavily reliant on the organ. And the organ in the Reformed Church is not the best of organs. So he just felt that the organ was not up to what this piece demanded. And so we ended up going to Rudder's Requiem, which I can't tell you the number of people who said, I was totally unfamiliar with it. Oh, this is just so, that was just so wonderful. That piece was. Jenny had never sung it, and she was totally impressed with it. She ran from behind. She was at Main Street at the street fair and ran behind. Such a wonderful. Yeah.
In terms of the community, maybe Ben picking some more political pieces like Melissa Dunphy's Dreamers, whatever that piece was.
Oh.
That may have had something to do with the community.
I could be. Yeah, he was very much into it. That sort of thing.
Right.
I know. I just said pick something upbeat, and he picked gospel mass when the end of the pandemic. That was.
Right.
Yes, I think he did. He thought that it would be. It would fit with the community of Highland Park. Again, I can't remember. I'm looking at these pieces to see if I could.
I think it was right after that mural was painted on the side of the building next to the Dunkin' Donuts, with where Unite Pharmacy is,
Yeah,
that showed recent
looking.
refugees, and
That would have been
one of them was vandalized immediately upon
Yes.
completion. The woman in the hijab.
Yeah,
So I think maybe.
yeah, could be. I'm looking. Oh, here's Magnum Mysterium, which the woman from New Brunswick Chamber Orchestra mentioned. Well, I know one year we did, when we did Mozart's Requiem the last time, we also did Prayer for Ukraine, and it was right at the beginning of the Ukrainian war.
Mm-hmm.
I know there were at least a couple people from Ukraine came.
Yes, and they saw the flyer and there where it said that we were doing the prayer for Ukraine, so they felt they had to come. Yeah. Yes, he did do, Ben did do some things that I can't remember, and I can't pick it out of here. And with our new director, Shay Velosa, who started in the fall of 2024, his thing is for our December concert to end with a sing-along with the audience. What we do, Christmas things like we did Let It Snow, Hanukkah, Hanukkah, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and the year before was Deck the Halls and a dreidel song and God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. Something that would be familiar to the audience and be inclusive with the two Hanukkah songs.
And then, from what I understand, you also put on like a couple different, I guess, like smaller concerts for like different organizations, like Elijah's Promise.
That was years ago.
Years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We found it in the tub. We didn't even know about it.
Do you remember anything about those experiences?
I can't remember what. We did a couple things. I remember one time they wanted us to sing. They always have a little show before the July 4th fireworks. And we did something, and I remember I didn't even bother singing. I don't like to sing outside. It gets lost. It just gets lost. I think you'd be better taking an excerpt from a concert and putting it on a loudspeaker. It just gets lost. There were a couple of times we were asked to sing the Star Spangled Banner for the street fair, which I think maybe somebody did once from the chorus. And I mean, you always end up when it's off cycle, you end up with like 5 people. And the last one I remember that somebody did, there was another group, I think it was a gospel choir. They did the Star Spangled Banner, and they were really smart. They had an arrangement where they had a soloist who was really strong, and he basically sang it, and the rest of them sort of went, ooh, 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 in the background, and I said, if you're going to do it, that's the way to do it. But we usually gracefully decline. In fact, we were asked for the last street fair if we wanted to sing, and it just doesn't work.
Especially the day after a concert.
Yeah.
We do the interfaith every year.
Yes, yes.
And we did
yes.
perform for MLK Day.
Yes, yes. Pastor Seth of the Reformed Church holds an interfaith Thanksgiving service. It's usually the Sunday, I think, before Thanksgiving, where he invites, usually their church choir sings. They have sometimes a choir from another church. They have the Jewish chorus comes, and we usually sing at that. And we sang, the last time we sang not only a piece by ourselves, but we sang a joint piece with the Jewish chorus. So yes, we always do that. And in my mind, it's a way for us to give back to the church. You know, we are secular, but it's interfaith. And yeah, we usually sing something for that. Thank you. I would have forgotten that. So that's every year. And I understand that Seth was disappointed at the turnout this year.
Really? Oh. Wow. Because it's so moving.
Yes, it is. It is, and I always tell people when there are new people in the chorus and they've never been, it is such a moving service. I am not religious, and I am really moved by this service. You know, I mean, the last one, for instance, we had the mayor talk, and her mother lives in Jamaica, and we just had horrible storms come through, and she was saying that she was feeling over the moon right now because she got a call from her mother and she's okay, and because they couldn't contact them because the telephone lines are down, and you know, it's just, it is an incredibly moving experience. And as long as I'm around and have any influence, we are going to continue to participate in that. I remember one time somebody saying, "Why do you do that? Such a stupid little thing." And I thought, have you ever been to one of the services? It's not a stupid little thing.
No.
I remember one time I couldn't go, I missed one because I had bronchitis. And not only could I not sing because I kept coughing, I didn't want to be in the audience and cough and have people go. And that was sad that I missed that. And I missed another one because I wasn't feeling well. But they're just very, very moving service. And we also did, I don't remember, it was under Ben, probably one of his early years, the last time we did the collaboration with the New Brunswick Chamber Orchestra.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a great experience. We were not the only chorus. I know Cantabile was there. I don't remember if Philo was there or not.
There were 3 choruses. I don't remember.
Yeah, I know Cantabile definitely was there. Or I definitely remember that they were there, but I don't remember Philo.
Yeah, all I remember is somebody I know in one of those choruses couldn't make it. So yeah, I don't remember. It
was just where we, in the one that we participated in, each of the choruses sang a song, and we sang a couple songs together, and then of course we did Handel's Messiah with the chamber orchestra playing, and did some sort of sing-alongs. I remember Sleigh Ride, because I remember one of the instrumentalists did this thing of making a sound like a horse whinnying. It was great.
And we did a broadcast on a classical music network too.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that. And so they have asked us the last couple of years, but they always ask us late where it interferes with our concert date.
Mhm.
In addition to that, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. The last guy who was the one coordinating, I don't think he liked women very much. And he sort of refused to communicate with me. He had to communicate with Ben. And he made some snide remarks to me via email. It was like, oh, misogynism dripping out of your veins there. And this time they contacted us early, and it's a woman in charge. Yeah, so I think we're going to do it this year. It's a unique experience, but
Yes. Speaking of unique experiences, the opera.
oh yes,
Yeah.
I didn't participate in that.
Well, but we did sing excerpts as part of our concert.
Yes, we sang and we did. That was under Ben.
That was under Ben. It was Hub City Opera and Dance.
Yes.
And he asked the chorus or members of the chorus to be the operatic chorus.
Yes.
Which, although there were many trials and tribulations, really was one of the best experiences of my life. That was amazing.
I went to it. I was in the audience, but I didn't sing in the chorus for that. I mean, didn't sing as part of the performance.
Right.
The songs like we sang and put in our program, but
yeah. And then we were invited to Carnegie Hall, but that's one of those Monday night things where you pay to play and then you sell enough tickets, you get your money back.
Yeah.
So I didn't participate in that.
You know, the New Brunswick Chamber Orchestra was a little bit like that. We didn't feel that. They said that when people came, or this guy said that when people came, they should say what chorus they were there, and we knew we had a lot more people there than they gave us money for. Mm-hmm. So I understand they had expenses. That place doesn't come cheap. It was Nicholas Auditorium on the Rutgers campus. But it was an interesting experience. So we hope to do that. At some point you had here, how was music chosen?
Yeah.
That is primarily the director with input from the board. And just for the record, the director, and we don't have an accompanist for the last couple of years. Our director is a choir director, and he actually feels more comfortable being the accompanist than having a separate accompanist, which we had lots of complaints about when he first did that. I think it's changed. And those people haven't dropped out. So, oh, this is terrible. I don't like to do this. We should have it. But he, the director, and this time it is a he, we've had she's, is the only person that gets paid. Mm-hmm. And the professional musicians that we hire for our concerts, part of an orchestra or an organist or get paid. The board, we don't get paid. We're total volunteers. And somebody said to me, why would you do that for nothing? I said, on bad days, I wonder, but I don't have many bad days. You have the picture in there?
What picture?
Of the course. the original chorus.
Not to record it, but
Oh yeah.
that it might bring up memories that we have forgotten.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then for the sake of the record, can you just say your name?
Oh, sorry, Regina Strolia. G is in golf, R is in Romeo, A is in Alpha, Z is in Zulu, I is in India, N is in November, A is in Alpha. Last name Strolia, Sierra, Tango, Romeo, Oscar, Lima, India, Alpha.
You've done that before, haven't you?
Almost every day at my job. So we had somebody who really had a great eye for history in the course for a while, because we have a very organized.
Probably Carol.
Ah,
If I had to guess, it was probably Carol O'Neill.
okay.
Because I remember her daughter Kate saying that when Carol went into a nursing home, that they had all this stuff. And did we want it?
Right.
No.
We have the
I'm trying to think of the name.
picture is going to be here, I think. I think, because this is the first book.
Flyer from the.
Yeah. Oh,
original.
this is how it all started. Said this is the thing that they sent around.
Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah. Would you like to have a Highland
Oh,
Park?
I don't know that person at all. I don't remember. And this was when there was a little newspaper in town that courtesies members, but I remember getting a thing in my program of the high school choral concert that we were there.
So, yep, yeah. This was the concert, I think, that started everything.
Maybe I could be Jenny Feigenbaum.
Haha. Should be in here. Haha.
Yes, this is it. And when we do the street fair,
Mm-hmm.
I have this picture, and I said, "Your test is to find me in that picture." That is me right there.
Oh wow.
And Jenny is in this picture. Yeah, Jenny is here. That's Jenny Feigenbaum. And this is Carol O'Neill, she was part of the founding members.
And is Gwen Greenberg in there?
Yes, she should be. I'm looking. There's Gwen.
Oh, wow.
There's Phyllis Chudnick, Jane Ben David. I don't remember her name. Doris Treback. This woman sang alto. Florence Hoffman, Janet Tappan, who passed away a couple years ago. I don't know. She was a pain in the neck. This is whenever we have the discussion about having committees, she insisted on being listed in the program as committee member of various things, and she never did anything. She just wanted her name in. That's Carol O'Neill. Don't remember. I remember her, but she's the one who had rheumatoid arthritis, and when I was first diagnosed, told me she had it with rheumatoid arthritis for women. Most common times are to come down with it are in your 20s and menopause. For her, she got it in her 20s. For me, it was menopause. And when she told me, she found out, she came up to me and she said, "Watch out for spring and fall." And boy, was she right. You get flare-ups.
Mm-hmm.
That's B. Adler. Yeah, Carney Colfow, he just passed away this past year. Ron Axelrod, he was a big presence. And it's interesting because our quote-unquote uniforms for concerts used to be white tops and black bottom. And we changed that because we found the shades of white, some were ivory, some were, and it just didn't. And I remember Janet Tappan was a big thing that we should wear robes. And I just sort of felt that that was too choirish, and which I went through, I think, before you arrived. I don't like when they refer to us as a choir,
Right.
but particularly since we perform in a church and they think we're part of the church. But yeah, I was trying to think of who else was around. I don't know if Phyllis Chudnick is around or not. She moved. I don't know. How did I end up dead center in this picture? I have no idea. Treon Blumenthal. She always, she still emails me from time to time. I think she's in her 90s. And I always send her a notice of the concert, and she always thanks me. And this last time I sent notices out because I was really pressed for time this last time, so I didn't get as many notices. We still had a great turnout. I'll have to email and see if she's still around. But her health is such that she can't come out. And I would always send her the recording of the concert because it meant a lot to her. And she, yep, 40 years ago. And I remember Lucas was there, and I said, okay, Lucas, your job, you got to find me. So I pointed, and when he couldn't find, I pointed, wow, you're old. And Marcia was there with him, his mother. Look out!
Oh.
So
He is normally a well-mannered man, but
yeah.
Anyway, I don't know if there's anything else that might strike your fancy.
Oh, yeah, that was her original logo. I think Jenny came up with that.
We apparently
Yes,
have
it's a bumper sticker.
Yeah.
That was, don't remember that. Carol, I'll bet you Carol O'Neill put this together.
Yep.
Well, her husband was a professor of history at Rutgers. So.
Oh, no wonder. This is just, this is candy. Oh. Yeah, stop me if you see something interesting. That probably was the concert you were talking about,
yeah,
singing in the band show that.
Could be. I think we did it once or twice, and it doesn't work. It's a lot of effort for not very good sound.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with the caroling.
Yeah.
That we do
Oh,
the
yeah,
caroling.
caroling, yes.
Yep. I mean,
you had a thing here about Valentine's Songring.
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually was thought up by a woman who was president. Jenny Feigenbaum was president for a couple of years, and then she's dropped out. Fred Ford, yep. Yeah. Marilyn is the one who came up with the idea. And quite frankly, I thought it was, Linda Corcoran accompanist, but she changed. She got married and her name was Linda Rosowski. So that, cool. Doris Treback, Jenny, Phyllis Chudnick, Florence Hoffman. I can't tell. It's reflecting there. But I know I was president for a year or two in the very early days because I volunteered to organize getting ads. And so I had this thing of people signing up. I had the businesses sorted by if you're between first and second, second, third, and somebody was really impressed with how I organized it. And I got a call from Jane Van David at work. How would you like to be president? So I did it for about 2 years, and it was just too much with my work. And I said, oh. But anyway, Marilyn Carlson was president for a year or two. And she's the one who came up with this idea of Valentine's songbirds. And I will admit, in the beginning, I thought it was kind of corny. But people love them. And my favorite story is, I remember one time we called this elderly woman in Florida, somebody's mother. And whatever song we sang to her. And she said, oh, that was so nice. Would you like to come in?
Give us a couple of days. We'll be right there.
You're going to pay for our plane fare?
And then the time we sang to Ben's grandmother, right? She pranked us?
Yeah, she was, he was very, very close. Ben Berman, the director for a number of years, he was very close to his grandma. And he always ordered a songbird for her. Ben, who's he? But it wasn't that she was senile. She was joking, I don't know a Ben Berman. Who is that? And it's always cute when you sing to little kids because there are various reactions that little kids have. And some people, Grzina is great at working the phone for the songrams. We gather at somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
I have a list of songs that have been ordered, and she usually makes the calls because she's great at it. And we sometimes get, who, what? I don't know anything about it. No, somebody, or this is a gift for you. And, if they never heard of them, some people kind of expect them because they get them every year. But some people they get a little annoyed. And then after you do it, oh, that was so nice. So I think it's something we should continue doing. We don't make a lot of money, but it's worth doing it. In fact, interestingly, it was a little early before one of our rehearsals. And I wanted to talk to Shay. And I think it was about the music for the spring concert. And nobody was signed up for the parlor in the church. And so I thought we could just step in there and, rather than going in the sanctuary because people come in and they want to talk to you. So I want to talk to him about the music. And there were 2 or 3 women at the table, and they weren't listed as having the room booked. And I said, excuse me, are you going to be in here long? Because we didn't really have it booked either. And they said, no, we're finishing up. And, and the one woman asked who we were from. And I said, oh, we're Highland Park Forest. Oh, they're the ones, she tells the other one, they're the ones, they do these Valentine song, what did she call them? She didn't call them songbird. She sort of called them like some message or something like that. Oh, they're great. People love them. And we're going to do them again. Which is why I always like to put a little pile of thing out on the church table, because there are so many groups that use the church, and maybe somebody will see them and pick one up, but that was so nice to hear. She just thought they were the greatest thing ever. Telegrams, that's what they send me, Valentine telegrams. That's what she called them. So, anything else?
No, I think that's all.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, thank you both of you for your time.
Thank you, Joanne.
Oh,